Welcome, beautiful soul family. Welcome. Thank you for being here today. Take up a seat. Come close. Let's be intimate. The thing about Scorpio is intimacy. Let's get really close. Scorpio is not a surface sign. Scorpio wants to go really deep. Wants the D and M's, the deep and meaningfuls. Doesn't skirt around the surface. It just wants to get to the guts. And I'm so thankful that you're here today. It's called a supermoon because it's very close to the Earth. The next supermoon, in fact, the only next supermoon for this year, will be a month away on May the 26th. And it will be an eclipse as well. And that's going to be even closer to the Earth. So that's going to be intense. But make no mistake, this one is super duper intense. And I'm wondering, how are you dealing with the emotions of this? How are you dealing with your feelings? Are you feeling emotional? I appreciate you, Abigail. I appreciate every single one of you for being here with me, and the Teddies, of course. There's so much. So I want you to feel as though you're in an intimate setting and that you're safe to feel anything that comes up. That this is a safe arena for you, no matter what it is, whether it's rage, whether it's fear, whether it's grief, whether it's joy, whatever the emotions are that you feel. This is a safe place to express and to have them. And you can write about them in the chat if you want. You can share that way. There are many different ways of sharing, but let's get intimate. Let's maybe share things that we wouldn't normally share. Scorpio is about secrets, the things that are kept hidden. I'd like to thank lovely Lucy for being here today. Lucy, my wonderful assistant and chief moderator. Thank you for being here, lovely Lucy. I'm so lucky to have you. And dear April has joined us here today. So yeah, this is great. Just share whatever you want to share in the chat. It's a time to release, to let go. Taurus likes to hold on. And Scorpio says, let's go. Let's be reborn. Let's rebirth. Let me experience whatever I need to experience. For me, it's been a very, I'll share something personal now. For me, it's been a very emotional full moon. Yesterday, I went to the Austrian embassy and I was presented with my Austrian citizenship. I am now officially an Austrian citizen, thanks to a law that came in September of last year, where the Austrian government wished to make reparation not only to Holocaust survivors, but to descendants of survivors who had to flee Austria. And it couldn't have come at a more I'm emotional, forgive me. I'm usually good with words, but when the emotions are there, it's harder to find the words. So it was my mother who had to flee Austria, who had to flee Vienna when she was 14. And of course, she lost her citizenship, she lost everything. And now the Austrians wish to make reparations for what the Nazis did, the National Socialists, and to try to do something to admit that things were done that were not right, and to do something to turn it around. So it's been emotional. It's especially brought up feelings of my dear mother. The moon is the mother. So anything around mother at this time, anything around feelings of nurturing or feelings of not being nurtured may be coming up. So for me, I miss my mother so much at this time. I feel like, gosh, she's been gone 30 odd years, but I miss her like it's yesterday. And I feel as though on the edge of, this is something really personal, I really wouldn't normally share this, but just on the edge of Greece, not really, from June onwards, British people are not going to be allowed to stay here. And just on this edge now at the beginning, end of April, and I can apply for a passport, which will probably take about a month, just in time. I feel as though my mum is looking after me from the other side. And I feel so grateful. So you may be feeling some emotions, and it's good to cry. It's good to have the emotion and to feel it. It's like people you've loved, you never forget. The people that are around you, they're always around you, even if you can't see them. My mum would have been 100 next year, and she would have hated that. She never wanted to get very old. She died in the mid-60s, and she was really clear that she wasn't staying around long, and she did it. So it's a time when I think we're feeling one another's pain more than we ever did. When I see what's going on in India, for example, my heart goes out to the people in India right now. People without oxygen, people dying in such terrible circumstances. So to those of you who are watching, who are involved, who have family there, my prayers and thoughts are with you. And I think we can all come together in that. But Scorpio involves the resurrection of the dead. It's the energy. Scorpio is about death. It rules sex, which is pretty powerful. It rules birth and death, particularly death. And deaths, whilst they can be very painful and very sad when you're grieving for somebody, at the same time can be an opportunity for a new beginning. I only hope that my mum is proud of me, and that she's there and knows that I'm just doing the very best I possibly can in every moment. And that I speak up a bit more than I ever used to. She used to be the speaker. She had Mercury in Scorpio. And I've got Mercury in Libra, which is all very nicey and wanting everybody to be happy. And she would speak to anybody. Didn't matter who it was. It was the Queen anybody, she'd go straight up, no messing. And I used to bring in the corner going, oh gosh, she's going. And I think I've learned more to speak up and speak out more. So allow yourself to feel whatever emotions come up. And as I said, especially around learning how to nurture yourself. Oprah says, you know, Oprah has this thing of, what do I know for sure? She's written a book called What Do I Know For Sure? What do you know for sure? And I know for sure that there are people that walk with us throughout our lives. There are people walking with you throughout your life. You are never alone. And my goodness, it feels like it sometimes. It feels, yes, we're all doing the best we can. And you're not the only one. And I think a lot of it is about learning to nurture and soothe that little child inside that never somehow got enough soothing or loving or nurturing. And this moon in Scorpio energy may bring up that neediness. Haley, that's beautiful. You're empathetic and feeling others' emotions, just looking at them. Praying for Brazil. Yes, yes. We can pray for our brothers and sisters. And let it get to a point where none of us can sit still until all of us are taken care of. That's, I think, where we are going to have to move towards, and wanting to move towards, wanting to move from that place. So this moon is encouraging you to stop and feel. Not to run away from the emotion, but to know that your emotions are your life force. And if you deaden them, then you become inauthentic. You're not real anymore. I thought it was interesting because this is a powerful time to go into silence, to go into your inner world. Scorpio is the inner world. It's not the outer. We'll come to Gemini and Sag, that's more out. But Scorpio is in. And I think it's wonderful that Florida, the state of Florida, have just passed a bill in all public schools to have a pause and reflect time at the beginning of the day. Giving children, youngsters, an opportunity for introspection. We never really had that. We had school assembly where we sang hymns. Who would true valor see, and those kinds of things. But we never had real silence and an encouragement. Thank you for the big hug, Regini. Back to you too. And we can feel one another's hugs. And going into silence is often the way to get your answers. Oprah said, when you don't know what to do, get still. The answer will come. And you're going to be able to see this moon for about 3 days. So it's really beaming at us. Yeah, meditation for children. Isn't that wonderful? So I've been thinking more because we are all this year going through the energy of Saturn square Uranus. Saturn, the structure, the authorities, the powers that be. And Uranus, the freedom, the people, the revolution. And we're seeing it. We've seen peaceful protests all over the UK and in many, many, many countries. And I think we're going to see more of that. More of pushing through things that are maybe very difficult, but keeping pushing through. So for me, when I left Greece to go to New Zealand, I was terribly relieved when I got there to be in an English-speaking country. It was like, whoa, I haven't got to struggle with websites in Greek. You know, it was a real struggle with the language. And of course, now I've come back to Greece and I'm really determined now. Okay, it's this square energy. I'm determined to learn Greek. Only this time I realize I've got to make it fun. Unless I make this Greek fun, it's going to be like, oh, you know, hard work. So what is it you need to break through and work at? But can you use the Uranus energy to make it fun, to make it enjoyable, to make it... So let me tell you what I'm doing with the Greek. Well, first of all, when I get stuck with phrases all day long, I mean, this is entirely the whole day, I go through frustrations with the language. I've had it with couriers today and paperwork and customs and all sorts of things. And I write down sentences, and then at the end of the day, I say, Nina, these are my sentences. Please translate into Greek for me. And we have such a laugh. And we have a laugh because of the pronunciation in Greek is super important. It's called tonos, the tone, where you put the tone. So we're having such fun, you know, pinao, which means I'm hungry. Kalimera, hello, good day. Efcharisto, bravo, sagapo. And it's very important where you put that tone, where you put the emphasis. So I'm pushing through. It's not fun, I have to say, because they're not understanding me still when I want to say, is the courier definitely going to pick up the papers today? And they're asking me for a tracking number. And I said, well, I don't have a tracking number because you haven't picked it up yet. And to say all that in fast Greek, I haven't got that capacity yet. So pushing through, pushing through. Lucy's amping up her French skills. Marvelous. What are you doing? What are you amping up? Because this square energy all year gives you an opportunity to accomplish something that maybe you've wanted to accomplish for a long time, but it's felt too difficult or too serious or too something. Learning Swedish, love it. So find ways to have fun. I mean, I'm always mispronouncing words, yeah? You know, it's fun. I think the word for, I had some blood tests. So tests in Greek is a hard word. It's ekstasis. I'm saying it wrong already. Ekstasis. Well, somebody Greek correct me. But, you know, it's like, so... Lovely. Carrie is wanting to improve her parenting skills. AK is going to amp up your ukulele skills. Astrology is its own language. Yes, and I'm still learning that. Etsi ke etsi. Me charisto, ne. Thank you. Applying for promotion from teacher's assistant to teacher. Awesome. Lucy's amping up her ability to start her art business. writing a screen. I love this when we share together. And for those of you watching later, put things in the comments. When you speak it and you say it, it becomes flesh. And the word was made flesh. It really does what you speak. That's why what you speak is so powerful. And the tone with which you say something, not only ordonos in Greek, but the tone with which you say it has an energy force that is either uplifting, neutral, nothing, or detracting. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. So I notice when Nina speaks Greek, because her Greek, my friend, it's really high Greek, what they would call Hochdeutsch, yeah, high German or whatever. So when she speaks and she says thank you to somebody, she goes, Evcharisto parapoli, yeah? And you can see somebody's eyes light up with the vibrancy with which she says thank you very much to somebody. Woof! And it's the same with music. So for those of you that like opera, if you like O Babino Caro, that very famous Puccini aria, and I'm not going to sing it, no way, but if you listen to that by a most magnificent singer, Montserrat Caballé, Lucy, look it up, please, stick it in the chat later, and if you can't get it now, but you listen to that, it touches the soul. You can listen to so many other opera singers singing that. When you listen to her singing that, if you want to be touched emotionally, that always makes me cry when I listen to her. O Babino Caro, my dear father. And she's pleading with her father to marry this man, to let her marry this man that she loves with all her heart. So it's the emotions with which something is said that is the power of it. Sing it. Thank you, Stephen. You wouldn't like that. Okay, Christelle wants to work full-time from home. Awesome. But really know that you might have to push through something. Saturn, keeping going, being consistent, not giving up. Uranus being creative and coming up with new ideas for enjoying it. So we're in the build-up now to the eclipses. That's why I mentioned it in the title. And eclipses are game changers, okay? These are times when profoundly can turn. So I've been looking at the eclipses, and I will be doing more videos about it. I'm just feeling my heart going out to some of you. I just need to say this. Thank you to those of you in the chat. You're sharing your heart. I didn't get your name. I'm sorry. It went past and it really affected me. You felt sad that your son is on drugs. And my heart and prayers are with you. I feel so sad. I can't imagine how sad you must feel. Thank you, AK. Thank you. So the eclipses can change the trajectory of your life. Just entirely. And the eclipses are immutable signs. So yes, there's every chance that we're going to see more mutants of the virus appearing. I'm hoping that's not the case, but chances are it will probably be the case. And the question is more, how can we begin to mutate and change ourselves? The mutable signs that we're moving to a bit lighter. This Taurus Scorpio it's strong, it's heavy, and it helps you build muscle. When I think of Taurus and Scorpio, I think of working out and I think of muscles. I think of strong. So the next moon will be a new moon in Taurus, which I will be talking about. It's a new moon coming up, which will be not as intense as this one. This one is super duper intense. The new moon in Taurus has a different frequency, and then we'll come to the eclipses at the end of May. So how can we begin to mutate and to change things that have been stuck for a long time? I think we've got to somehow do away with this terrible criticism that goes on of one another. I see it online, I see some comments, I see some things. That isn't to say that criticism can't be useful at times. But somebody wrote to me, this was a personal email, it wasn't even in a chat, but personally, saying that she'd seen me a few months ago swearing because of some difficulties with the technology. And I didn't know that the sound was on and I was swearing. And then she said, I see you now. I was drawn back to astrology. That put me off. And I thought, okay, fair enough. That put you off. I can understand that. And then I came back to your channel and I see you hugging teddies. And she said, and that's just too much to take. And I thought, interesting where the focus was, not on all the free material that's been shared all the months astrologically, but on some kind of fault finding. And fault finding is no fun for the person who's finding the fault as much as it is for the person who's receiving it. And here's what I wanted to share with you about praise and criticism. It comes from Mother Teresa. I love Mother Teresa. If we were humble, nothing would change us, neither praise nor encouragement. If someone were to criticize us, we would not feel discouraged. If someone were to praise us, we would not feel proud. And I thought, yeah. Let praise nor criticism change you. And another quote that I wanted to talk about is, again, oh, dear Lucy's got a bad connection. It's all right, Lucy. We love you. Any fool can criticize, complain, and condemn, and most fools do. But it takes character to be understanding and forgiving. And that's Dale Carnegie. And the teddies want to say hello. And I have to say, teddies are very soothing. So are little lambs. And people will criticize whatever. But what I'm saying is I think that it is a habit pattern. Taurus, we're coming into more Taurus energy. We have to, Uranus in Taurus is about breaking destructive habit patterns, seeing them, and then breaking that desire to pull another down so that your ego can feel better. Temporarily, of course, it's very temporary, because when we're in separation, we're not happy. I make it my business when I'm out on my walks to smile and say Kalimera or Kalispera to every person I meet. I really do. And today, I had several people who ignored me. It was like, oh, okay, I put out some nice vibes to you. Fine. I mean, usually most people say something, but I had like several on a row that were just like, you know, on another planet. And that's okay. It's okay. That doesn't stop me. So what new habits can we put into action that will be uplifting for one another? I mean, it's astonishing. Einstein at school, he was told he was a dummy. Yeah. Imagine if he'd have been told that he was brilliant. Wow. Who knows what he may have come up with? We don't know. Yes. To avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing. Yes, exactly. That is one way of doing it. Yeah. So I just want to come closer to you. I think that's what I want to say. I want to use this energy of this full moon in Scorpio to find ways to come closer. And maybe that's the question. How can we get closer to one another? Let's share. What are your ideas? How can I get closer to you? What can we do to feel that we are not separate? To experience that we are part of one living organism and that we're one. And how can we feel that? Never assume the negative first, Anthony. Open the door for somebody and sometimes they don't say anything, but maybe their minds were somewhere else. I love that. Exactly. Maybe their minds are somewhere else. It's okay. I can still send a sunbeam to them. So Lucy, thank you. April, thank you. To listen better. I love that. A mass meditation, open communication. Simply say, I understand. I love that. Live chat, exactly, it does. Let's engage in a mission together. Silence is a wonderful space, wonderful. Stopping judging. Oh, these are great suggestions. You guys, Teddies are very impressed. So I'm excited you're here during a live as well. Yes, thank you. I'm glad the teddy bears are acceptable. Thank you, Matthew. I don't care whether they're acceptable or not. For me, I find them very soothing, and I hope that it encourages you to get your teddies out. I can't tell you how many people have written to me and sent me photographs of teddies and soft toys, sharing wounds and asking for help in healing, doing a virtual circle, taking breath. These are fabulous ideas. Lucy, I might have you make a list of these, yes, and we might post them as well, because this is inspiring. And when we inspire one another, we get closer. I want you to know that you matter. Yes, you. Mother Teresa said, I can do things you cannot, and you can do things I cannot. But together, we can do great things. Together, we can do great things. So I'm going to close with some music. I want to say thank you, merci, grazie, gracias, arigato, tak. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate that. I love teddies with you. Toda rabah, shukran, obrigado, spasibo, salamat. Thank you in a million different ways to say thank you from my heart to yours. What is the nonsense we're doing here, Biber? Thank you very much. You have a unicorn and a mammoth. A problem shared is a problem half solved. Shout out to all of you in this chat. You have been just wonderful today. You are wonderful. So I'm just going to close out now with a piece by Johann Sebastian Bach. It is the air on a G string. And just may you feel as though you are floating on air, that we are all connected. And this is a sense, this brings you a sense of Thank you. Thank you.